this whole plant-based diet and that it's good and whatever. But back in the day when Arnold Schwarzenegger weighed 500 kilograms and he was winning Mr. Universe and Olympia,
steaks like that.
do you think he was eating plants to get to that size? No. He's eating steroids and steak.
If you don't want more farmlands to like stretch into the Amazon rainforest or whatever.
But what is the solution to the rhino problem?
Yeah, that's a tough question. But what's also interesting, all these people they're looking at are professional athletes, so they're getting the correct exercise and then this diet.
And they have physios and trainers.
Yeah, exactly. People looking after them. I know for a fact.
Bro, that's hectic.
Yes, like we can have a conversation.
Yeah, sick.
So 5 days out from my race, how's your challenges coming on, Monk? Do you want to update the viewers into
No, not really, bro.
your news?
No, well, oh yeah.
Because the next time they see you, it might be a bit of a different image.
No, well, so basically, I was training for the run like an idiot, and I was overexerting myself running every day, as well as trying to train legs for the squat and, you know, slightly for the deadlift as well. So I would do like a heavy squat session, then a full leg session after that, and then I would go for a run. And it was a day that I did that when I hit like a kilometer of the run, I just had to stop and turn around and head back home because my legs were so sore. So I thought, okay, let me try, like, see if I can, you know, do some, what's it called? Like rest, ice, compression, and elevation or whatever. So I did that properly. I was even taking like anti-inflammatory tablets to try help, I don't know. And then I had to go do a touch rugby session, so I'd rested for 5 days. And at the touch rugby session,
you had to go and do the touch rugby.
Well, no. The thing is I kind of saw it as like a tester of like how my legs would be. So at the start of the session, they were really chilled, and even after the session, like I could feel that I had shin splints, and like it's definitely not 100% recovered. But when I woke up the next morning, then like, you know, walking to the kitchen to make coffee, my legs were like aching, and it feels like your muscle is literally tearing off the bone in that area. Yeah, so I have shin splints, yeah.
So are you not even going to attempt?
Bro, the thing is, for me, I don't even think it's worth it, because this holiday, I do want to carry on like running and stuff. I'm going to head down to the coast, and I'd like to do a lot of running there. And I've had like a lot of chats with Zander about this as well. And it's just going to make it so much worse, like exponentially worse, if I push myself now. And my doctor said like 4 to 5 weeks rest, then like no running. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I just don't want to make it worse now.
So your hair is not worth the 6.5 minutes of pain?
Well, I mean, the thing about it, George, like shin splints isn't something that just comes and goes. Like once you get them, they stay for a long time. So like personally, from my experience, if I was in his position, I'd be like, stuff it, I'm not doing it. Because honestly, shin splints are the pits, man.
No, so it's like there, you know, I have shin splints now, and I stopped. So that means 4 to 5 weeks recovery. If I were to carry on for the next week, that could become 3 months, like of guaranteed pain. Like not even necessarily recovery, but I will still be feeling the effects for 3 months, maybe. Like that's how I think it is. That's what my doctor said. He said he would highly recommend I stop all running.
So what's the plan? You're gonna give the other ones a go?
Gonna give all of the other ones a go. There are 1 or 2 that are gonna be like really tough. Like I think I might only do them for the first time on the day. But
same, bro.
mean, yeah, well, exactly. So you kind of like have to
really have a choice, George.
You kind of have to trust in the training that you've been doing. And I feel like the training I'm doing this week is probably like my best option and like very accurate to what I'm trying to do.
Are you tapering?
Yeah, but in a sense that it's mainly focused on like only the movements that I need to do. So now I'm not going to gym, you know, practicing the bench and then doing a full chest day after that. So it's mainly strength-based stuff and a lot of like conditioning-based stuff with lighter weights, just making sure that all the joints are loose, like a lot of stretching stuff as well. And you?
Yes, see, no, if I make this 6 hours, it's gonna be by the skin of my ball sack, bro. It's gonna be so incredibly close. Either it's gonna be like a 5:50, 9:30, or it's gonna be like a 5:45 or like a 6:30.
Fair.
So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but yeah, it's
Very
gonna be good.
excited to see.
Are you nervous that
Dude.
there's that one thing that goes wrong that you?
I have to have a perfect race
Yeah.
to do it. So if I get a puncture or something like that, or I don't know what else can like really happen. But if I get a puncture,
A lot of shit can happen.
a lot of shit, bro.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I haven't got injured yet. I've got 4 more days of just doing like hardly anything, trying not to get injured. So otherwise, I'm gonna be fucking upset. Yes, it's true. After 12 weeks of training to get
Yeah.
injured.
No,
Nah,
we
dude.
need to.
But isn't Hannah's doing the sprint? Eh?
Yeah, she's doing the sprint.
And how's that prize money looking?
Shame, bro. She like had exams and that, so obviously it's priority. So then you stop training as much. So yeah, she's had it rough. She's got about a week to get fit. And she's struggling. She's kind of sick
Saw that on
already.
her story. Can
Yeah.
you get fit in 1 week?
We're about to find out.
No. It's just no.
Well, you never know with her, bro. Hey, she'll surprise you.
I have taken some extra steps to try and
Yeah.
do this.
I don't know about this, bro.
Do
This
this-
wasn't consulted.
He's doping,
Do this
bro.
half
This
iron.
was not consulted at all.
Do this half iron in under 6 hours.
Oh,
It's nothing
okay.
illegal.
Nothing illegal. Okay.
Went to Discam, my dad and I this morning. I don't know what shot. We got 2 shots, bro. One of clear liquid and one of like orange.
Well, I mean,
And it's
Jordan.
meant to like boost your immune system, help with muscle recovery and stuff like that.
You should probably find out what they are.
No, my dad knows.
Okay.
Like it's nothing. It's not doping.
Mm,
It's the same as
it's
creatine.
not. It's
It's
not.
not
It's the same as creatine,
Yeah,
whey
sure.
protein, pre-workout, all that
It's
kind
all
of
natural, eh?
all natty, bro. All natty.
Clean. Okay.
But I mean, speaking about doping
Mm.
and diets,
That's a terrible
Yeah,
joke.
that was so bad.
I was
Doping
and
and diets.
But bro, if you're on the right diet, you could make some major improvements.
Yeah. So should we give the audience a bit of a
Bit of context.
context?
Go for it.
Okay. Just put on me now. I
I'll
hope
do
this part
it.
gets cut out.
No,
So go for it.
So basically, the boys all watched a documentary called The Game Changer.
yeah, the game changer.
It's basically about a plant-based diet and athletes and how, like, a plant-based diet is beneficial to your life.
So give it a look, especially after
Yeah.
like listening
On
to our
Netflix.
discussions about it on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think it's an hour, 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's definitely
Good
worth a
watch.
look. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely worth a look.
What did you guys think? What's your like 5 words, yes or no, basically, and then we'll get into. Then we'll see where the sides are, and then we can get
5 words, yes or no.
like
It's just like a,
yes, I
give
agree
us a
with the
sentence.
plant-based
Okay.
diet or something like that.
I
And
think.
did you guys watch it this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally
So
watched
it's
it this
fresh.
morning, so it's
I watched
fresh.
it like a week or 2 ago.
Okay.
Okay, well, so yeah, I haven't stopped thinking about it like since we watched it, and like my initial thing would be definitely thinking about it. Like yes, definitely.
Yes,
thinking
for
about it.
plant-based.
Yeah.
I think depends on the person, and probably no.
I'm also no.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll just leave.
I mean, so this whole documentary, there's a lot of stir about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know who clapped back at whoever made this documentary and was like, basically, you're speaking shit. But then they came out with a press release saying, like, backing themselves up again, like doubling down and being like, no, this is proper research and whatever. So the whole thing with the documentary is they sort of make you believe, or they're trying to sell this sort of product of a
It's-
plant-based
It's
diet.
an initiation documentary. Like, it'll get you, example, Raja Malcolm, it'll get you thinking about it and get you to a point where you would want to try it.
I mean,
It initiates people.
do you guys want to
that's
give
what
like a
it
little
is.
summary about what they said, just because it's more fresh in your mind?
Well, okay, a lot of things, a lot of the tests that they do, like, okay, let me come up by saying that I feel like if we went and tried to make a documentary about, like, why you should eat meat, we would also find a lot of good things. Like, it's easy to find these things when you're looking so deeply for them. So they had this like pool of fish, and they chose the best 3.
It's like the
every
flat. It's
time,
like the
or
flat earthers.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So
That's a
Basically-
dang title for this video. Plant-based diets and the new flat earthers.
oh, well,
Hey,
yeah.
it
So
potentially could get there, but I mean,
it is, but kind of
Could
like
digress.
it's a similar
Yeah.
argument. It's just way more realistic.
yeah.
But they basically give you several reasons why a plant-based diet is beneficial health-wise, and that's specifically focused on like athletes and strength, endurance stuff. But they definitely like throw that health aspect into it as well, about like
goes
heart
into
disease
cholesterol,
and some cancerous things as well.
And it's quite clever of them to use professional athletes to prove their point.
Yeah. But
yeah.
it's I can see how controversial it's going to be, and a lot of the things I'm kind of like, that's really cool, but also like I kind of am in a state where I want to test it out for myself.
So that's what
that's what
Ocamp did. He called me after day 1. He was like, "Bro, listen, I'm trying this whole plant-based diet sort of a thing." Then I told him my opinion on it and like what I've heard from my dad and like the health industry, and then he started eating meat again, like straight after the phone call.
Oh, okay,
So
well, that's
the
crazy.
whole other side to it is that there's a lot of people who's invested a lot of money into plant-based research and products and stuff like that. And the whole thing behind it is that they are trying to market this product for like so that people like you start going and buying plant-based, vegan stuff like that. However, what my dad said was that it's basically just a full-on marketing scheme. They took a very micro sort of pool that they worked with. They worked with professional athletes who are majority all vegan first. That when they're testing them, they're not like carnivores.
At the time of them,
yes, they're
making this
vegan.
documentary,
They're not plant-based. They're vegan, but they're not also not testing carnivores or omnivores.
Yeah.
If you eat a proper diet of meats, vegetables, fruits, and stuff like that, there's nothing wrong with that at all. You'll get almost the same results, if not better.
That was one of my biggest problems with the documentary. There was no comparison.
No, nothing.
So it was always coming from our perspective as vegan like people, or but there was never like, what is this man experiencing only eating like meat?
Yeah.
So like scientific theory goes out the window with it, because there's no comparison whatsoever.
But you know what I liked with one of their marketing sort of strategies there was they did the whole erectile thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that
was
was
crazy.
total bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
The
bull.
scientist himself says it's not a what do you say?
It's not it's not a scientifically
Yeah,
proven
it's
test.
not-
Like,
yes,
it's
but
not a
look,
correct
the only
scientific
thing,
study.
the only reason for that, is because they did 3 guys, and they did one with plant-based diet and one without. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you went and checked. There's probably a difference, there are probably other tests that have been done.
I checked. I couldn't
And?
find any other tests on veganism or eating a plant-based diet, how that relates to erectile function. Couldn't find anything.
but that's also hitting straight at the ego of all men, bro.
Exactly,
Like, you
but
watch
that's what I
that-
don't like about it, because it's a very easy thing for you to be like, oh shit, like I want to perform sexually. Like maybe this is just a little push that Malcolm needed or I needed to actually try this plant-based diet. You know what I'm saying?
It's very clever how they do it.
For me, I definitely, watching that documentary, was not looking for anything like that. Like, I get how they kind of were just trying to prove a point in that, you know what, maybe eating a vegan diet isn't not manly. In which I don't think it is, but like they didn't have to use that to convince
Well, I
me.
mean, like, if you-
that's what I was saying.
Okay, just like if I look at my family, my dad, he only eats meat. Well, not only, but like majority of his food a day is meat or protein. And then if I'll have like a salad, if we go out to dinner or something, he'll be like, what the hell? You got this many options of meat, why would you want a salad?
Yeah.
So, but I feel like that's the older generation, they still think like that in a way, but maybe that's just me.
And
I don't
they're
know.
also very clever. Like they use Conor McGregor and
Yeah.
like his loss and they base
Against
that
Nate
on his
Diaz.
like what he eats.
And also they cut
But
that perfect part
cut it-
out
can I-
of that.
Yeah, can I actually say something? Like, so Nate Diaz wasn't meant to fight Conor McGregor.
yeah. He took it like 4 or
It
5
was
days before.
11 days. But so the initial weight for Conor McGregor's other opponent, I don't know who it was 155 pounds. So like I checked, and they upped it to 175 pounds because Nate Diaz couldn't lose.
So that's why
enough
he's eating
weight.
so much meat.
Yeah, so Conor McGregor was on 155, but he had to eat more protein so that he could get heavier so he could meet the weight.
Yeah, they never spoke about
I
that.
never knew. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
So the
that's
only
what I
reason he
checked.
ate that much meat is to make the weight
To
class
make
so
the
that he
weight
could
class.
take that fight.
Yes.
You know what? But that changes it. So he was eating 2 steaks a day to try to pick up weight, not to try to prove his point about
Yeah.
meat, which is kind of what they made it seem like.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't like this documentary. And the other thing was, Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor 5 months later had a rematch. And who won?
McGregor.
Conor McGregor. And why? Because they had both gone through training camps. And Nate Diaz isn't a full-on vegan the whole time. He's only a vegan during the training
Yeah.
camps. He eats fish and he eats eggs.
Yeah.
And what does the documentary tell us? That he's a vegan. So again,
It's plant based.
well, it's plant-based, but like that's proving my point again. It's so one-sided, this
Yeah,
documentary.
yeah.
That's why like I can buy into the things they say, and I can understand like it does look like there are health benefits, but you can't give us a situation of pro athletes taking each other on in a combat sport and then not give us the full
The
picture.
full story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see a lot more research done into it, because then I'd actually look at that research and, you know, maybe you could see the real truth. But they, like I say, I think they definitely chose their best comparisons or best little tests that they can do.
You know what annoyed me a bit is that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in that, and he's like come out on social media and been very vocal about this whole plant-based diet and that it's good and whatever. But back in the day when Arnold Schwarzenegger weighed 500 kilograms and he was winning Mr. Universe and Olympia,
Steaks like that.
do you think he was eating plants to get to that size?
No.
He's eating steroids and steak.
Yeah.
Like,
Charlie Mills steroids.
and that, like, how can you be an advocate for a plant-based diet when your whole career is based on bodybuilding? Oh, dude.
No, I don't know. That it comes down to like, I think that's money and like
Oh,
how much did he get paid to?
no, a lot.
Oh, he actually produced it. He was one of the producers
Yeah, it was.
of the Game Changer. Yeah, him and Jackie Chan. So I don't know, like what his motivation for creating that was, but it seems strange to me. I don't know.
It really, really pushed my buttons because I also
Yeah.
thought about it, and then once I started doing some research on it and like checking, like actually thinking about what I just watched,
Yeah.
it's so manipulative.
It
on
is.
how and
Brew.
you know how much the sales of
Brew,
like
you want
vegan
to talk
stuff and
about
stuff like that must have gone
manipulation,
up.
though. The rhinos. Let's get into that because that pissed me off big time. Like,
Oh,
last
yeah,
night,
that's
I was
it's-
lying there watching this, and I was like, "What the hell?"
The lions and the elephants, and then they basically said that
That just pissed
if
me
you decrease your like mainly beef consumption or whatever, it's gonna really like result in relief in pressure on like the rhinos and the elephants.
Yeah, so basically what they were saying was like they were just playing at our heartstrings.
Yeah.
The only correlation they had between veganism or plant-based diets and the rhino was that one guy who started like a protection agency to protect rhinos. Now he is a vegan, strict vegan. Okay, cool. But I'm studying this and I can tell you right now there is no impact from farming on rhino that is decreasing their numbers. It's not that we have too little space for them to roam. It's that we have too much space, too little of them, and it's easy to poach them because we can't protect them in the massive area they're allowed to roam in. That's the major problem. The problem is not farmland encroaching on their habitat because it's already been set aside. Like you're getting poaching in the Kruger. Kruger, like, you know, that's a major park in South Africa. It's been like that. I don't know when Kruger was established in that, but like the problem is not farmland. So they're just tugging on your heartstrings there. They're trying to like get you feeling bad. And I really didn't like that.
I'll say that the like growth in the farming industry and like you know how much beef people are eating these days, it definitely has some sort of an impact on nature, and like the farmlands are growing into areas that like were normally how would you say it, like standardly habitable. I don't know.
Just like a
Like just untouched land, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will say that. But I do maybe see some sort of a thing where, like, if you don't want more farmlands to, like, stretch into the Amazon rainforest or whatever, you know, maybe do cut out some of your consumption of beef, or do only specific beef that you know comes from a butcher, that comes from a farmer down the road or something like that. But to the extent that they play it out, where basically eating meat and death of rhinos and elephants for their horns and tusks have a correlation, which is kind of what they were hinting at. It has absolutely nothing. They just found this one guy and wanted to go to Africa.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Listen, I understand like farmland and the rainforest and that kind of thing. Like, it is a big problem. Like, we're losing habitat to farming, but not in the case of the rhino. Like, it is not. That is not a major factor in like the pressure on rhino right now. And but in other cases it is. It really is, and we need to sort it out. But not. And I just don't feel like it was worth them putting that in that documentary. There was no point.
Yeah. But what is the solution to the rhino problem? Like,
Yeah, that's a tough question. Just in terms of poaching.
yeah. Well, that's
like more
isn't
funding.
that-
Just more funding, creating better like laws to allow people to protect their wildlife.
So being
Right.
able to shoot the poachers or something like that.
Well, so the problem isn't really like capturing the poachers or like deterring them, it's like prosecuting them. If you want to watch a good documentary that actually explains like rhino poaching and the problems we face in terms of our wildlife in South Africa specifically, go watch Stroop. Like Stroop, Stroop. That is far more like scientifically valid compared to the Game Changer and why the Game Changer has rhinos in it. Okay, like,
Yeah, it's actually so whack.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's just not meant to be there. Don't make a documentary on something and then like you're not actually helping the cause of the rhino.
Yeah.
Any press or bad press is good press, like whatever that saying is, but not in this case. But yeah, just in terms of the rhino, we need a better judicial system to like put these guys away, get to the head of the snake and like deal with it.
How long do we have before like it's irreversible?
It differs from like biologist to biologist, but they say from like 5 to 15 years.
5 only.
Yeah, it could happen. It could happen if like we don't do enough. It could happen. Like it's on the brink, man. Like it's close.
And
You
I think
You have rhino sanctuaries where they have baby rhinos, being like and people who volunteer to work there, they don't get paid. They're there just to help the rhinos, and like farm murders and things occurring on these farms because you have people being paid to go into these like sanctuaries, kill the baby rhinos, take as little horn off as they can, which could be about that much, like nothing less than 10 centimeters. But they do it because they're being paid to, you know, and they're killing these volunteers, raping them. It's a massive problem. So yeah, that's just a whole other topic that the Game Changer did not need to get into.
Yes. Yeah. We took a massive left.
Yeah,
turn.
sorry.
But what did you guys think about the beetroot jute can increase your bench up to 9%?
That was interesting. That's something like I kind of agree with. Like, it's not gonna like harm you. I don't see how
It's
it
not gonna harm
could be
you to try.
detrimental at all.
Yeah. Like,
So why
I'm
not
honestly
give that a shot?
considering
like, give
trying
that a
it,
go.
like, what the hell, why
No,
not?
I could get behind
The
that.
only thing I will say is though, like all three of us would have experienced. You go to gym one day, you're feeling quite average, but you put 100 kgs on the bench, and you bring it down, and you push it up, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then the next, 2 days later, you've got good rest in. You go there, you even take an extra bit of pre-workout, and you can't bench 100, or like just as an example.
Yeah.
Fatigue.
So I wonder,
That's
like,
what it comes down to.
also, it's so easy for them to just throw out, like, I'm pretty sure it was up to 19%. It wasn't an average of 19%. But either way, even if it was an average, how many people did you test that on? Like, I want to know about that actual study. Maybe
Yeah.
I should just do the research myself.
Yeah.
But I want to know more detail, and it's really easy for them to just throw that in there.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's actually crazy.
Super
I really want to try
relevant,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I even know there's a type of nuke pre-workout that has beetroot extract in it. and it's.
Oh, listen,
I think it might
that's
have
something I
to
could
do
get
with that.
behind because I don't see any downside to drinking some beetroot juice before I go exercise, go to gym.
Yeah.
I don't see any downside to that. So why not?
But I think that's the whole thing with this whole plant-based diet.
Mm.
No one diet is exactly the same.
Yeah.
All three of our diets are different on a daily basis every single day. So I think the only way for you to actually find out if it'll work for you, I'm sure it does work better for other people in terms of your genes and how you.
That's why I say it depends on the person.
Yeah.
You know?
So give it a go.
100%.
Yeah. Why not?
Maybe
Yeah,
not
but-
this week.
No, next year. But what I was thinking is like, just try like I'll obviously try like a few things first, like I'll maybe try a few vegan meals first, and then I'll try like a month. And what I was thinking is, I don't even have to go like full cold turkey and just go straight vegan for the rest of my life. Like, I can do 4 days of the week vegan only. And then the other days I'm allowed to have, a steak. Or
I think if
something
you want
like
to
that.
see proper results, you have to.
No,
go.
yeah. But what I'm saying is not necessarily just testing out whether this thing works for me.
Yeah.
But this is once I've tested out, maybe it ends up that I find that works really well for me.
That's also one thing I was thinking about. Like, they had so many people saying like how after they got into it and they actually started this plant-based diet that they felt so much better. But what was their diet before that?
Yeah. Were they,
Like, how do you know they had like a proper, like fully nutritious?
Yeah.
Or was the
diet
guy
every
eating
day?
McDonald's? every
Exactly,
day?
like the
Yeah.
boxer. What's his Brian, I think.
Yeah.
Brian Jennings. He was like, flipping spinach out of can and Popeye chicken or something like that. But yeah, well, definitely, if you're eating that before you change, you're obviously going to feel better because that's a bad diet,
Also, fair enough to them. They did put in 80 minutes. They put a lot of information into one documentary. It's probably one of the best adverts for like promoting a product that has probably ever been released.
Yeah.
One of the best marketing campaigns. I mean,
Like 90%. Okay. Well, I mean, I'd say 60% of people that watch that immediately afterwards do really consider it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I
Like
did
you'll
for a sec
get the
when I looked around.
40% that will just maybe not think of it at all.
that's me.
But it definitely keeps people
That's
like on
mad.
their toes.
It's mad. That's what we got to create, boys.
Yeah.
One thing I did find like kind of awkward was that guy ran the Appalachian Trail. That guy, like, big ups to him, he ran it. But I mean, that for me could have been so much more of a focal point for that documentary because not only does he run it, I want to see what he eats. I want to see where he sleeps.
Yeah,
That
they
is
also
so interesting.
they
That
also
is
but
crazy.
they didn't go into
2
detail about
marathons
his
a day.
diet.
They
2 marathons a day.
They surface level everything. In
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
documentary.
No,
they
fair.
don't deep dive.
But that's the problem. Why have the thing about Rhiners that has nothing to do with like a whole a proper diet
Yeah,
or what
yeah.
they're talking about as a proper diet, compared to like telling me what this guy's eating when he runs 2 marathons a day,
that is
rests for 3
sick.
hours, and then does it again.
That is
Yeah.
sick.
That's ridiculous.
No, you're sick in your head. That looks mad.
But also, like, I don't know if they can attribute that. How long had he been on a vegan diet before that?
Mine.
Like a few months.
I think I don't know if he did it specifically for that race.
That-
I don't think he
okay.
wouldn't have done that.
But my
Not
question
sure.
is
See,
like,
I don't know if they even said that in the doc.
Yeah, I don't know. Either.
but my question is
Might
that I
be
mean, if this guy was training for his whole life to do this, and then 6 months before doing it, he changes to vegan. Do you give it to, and then he breaks the record like that guy did? Do you say it was the vegan diet, or do you say it was the training since he was 12 years old?
Exactly.
Well, what's
Like-
interesting is also Brian Jennings, the boxer. He was 17-0 before he went onto a vegan diet, and so he was already performing when he was eating meat.
At a
But
very, very high
yeah,
level.
17-0. Then after he went onto a vegan diet, 7-3. But I mean, okay, maybe he's just fighting better boxers, whatever.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Like still, like
That's also it's like questionable as to how you can say that he won those 7 because he went on a vegan diet,
yeah.
or he lost those
Those 3
3 because he went on a vegan diet. Like,
But also,
there's so
Probably
many other
flexibility.
things that are like important in that.
Yeah, but that's also like saying, like this weekend, if I go under 6 hours and I make a documentary on those 2 shots I took today, attributing that to me going sub 6, but you don't see the 12 weeks of training every day that's gone into that. Like that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're
Exactly.
saying this thing is like a quick fix, sort of
Boom,
like
right.
go on a plant-based diet and you will be
Yeah.
a professional.
That's
athlete
why I
sort
say
of
it's
thing.
an indoctrination documentary. Like,
Yes,
get
yeah.
you to want to be a vegan, like,
Yes.
or have this kind of diet. It does.
Mm.
Because they're showing you, like, look at this athlete, look at that chick who cycled, 39 years old, and she gets
And the
she's on a
Olympics.
podium at
Yeah.
the Olympics. That's impressive. Okay, yes.
Mm.
But, like, those things are motivating factors, but you don't know if it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. It's
What
like-
I will say, it gives you an idea that, or the idea that it's not actually as difficult as you would think.
Mm.
Like, I think you can, like, people are too scared because they're like, I can't eat, I can't not eat meat.
Mm.
But I do believe it opened my eyes a bit as to the fact that I can actually stop eating meat
Yeah.
if I really want
But
to.
what's also interesting, all these people they're looking at are professional athletes, so they're getting the correct exercise and then this diet.
And they have physios
So,
and trainers.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
and-
People
and-
looking
and-
after
and-
them. I know for a fact, if I went on like a plant-based diet, I would struggle because, yes, I do exercise, but not to the extent that they exercise. I don't go see a physio twice a week. I don't have a dietitian checking in on me.
A chef.
Probably a doctor too. Like, it's just...
Mm.
It's kind of unrealistic what they're showing you, but then you feel like, ooh, that's achievable, But in a sense, it's really not.
Dude, it's madness.
Mm.
But so, what's your conclusion on the whole thing?
I think I might try to do a challenge next year.
For how long?
Well, I don't know. I have to do some research, but like, I don't know if I'll do longer than like 3 months.
Oh,
if
you
I
know,
had to try to do something.
you know what? I also yes, Brandon just mentioned. This is what happens when you're vegan. That's
He
like the
knows.
title of it. But I think this whole plant-based diet could also be sort of like a placebo effect.
Yeah.
So they show you all this incredible information on what a plant-based diet can do. You go on a plant-based diet and your whole mental state changes and you think, okay, cool, now I can run this half Ironman in sub 5 hours. And then you do it just because you think you can do it.
Mm.
So I think that's my conclusion. Sort of, it's definitely a marketing scheme for them. They're trying to make money out of something, whether it's a vegan product or this documentary or something like that. And that it could be a placebo effect. However, if you do want to try it, I think they can't
Why
hurt
not?
you.
Give it a
Go
go,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing is now, let's say Zan and I decide to test out the beetroot juice for the bench,
Mm.
and
Dude,
both of us bench more.
It's all in the head.
What we should actually do is I should test it on him.
Yeah.
One day I give him beetroot juice. The
Yeah.
next day I give him something that tastes like beetroot
Yes,
juice, but
yes.
isn't beetroot juice.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
But that questions as to like, I mean, with the coming back to the erection thing, did those guys, get something messed up in their mind where they were like,
Not only that, but
today I only ate
did they
this,
Yeah.
physically
and the
take...
doctor was hinting at this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
you know?
Okay, let's be straight up honest. Those guys, okay, were they told they're not allowed to, masturbate, they're not allowed to have sex? You don't know the actual science behind that, because that would influence the end of the test results.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we don't
they
know.
could have
No,
all,
no.
masturbated or had sex the
Yeah.
night before, and that is the reason.
Exactly.
But they can't do that when they have that, whatever that machine is on
Yeah.
them that night.
Yeah.
So that, I just think that's just like,
Yes, we can pick this thing apart the whole
we
day.
can.
Yeah, we literally can.
Sounds conclusion?
I think I'm definitely gonna incorporate more like plant-based meals into my diet.
Mm.
Maybe like a couple times a week, 3 times a week. I do think it can be beneficial, but I'm not gonna go all out and then just become like a full-on vegan. I don't think that'd be healthy for myself.
Mm.
And then also like it comes down with anything you put into your body. Like you need to understand your body.
Mm.
Diets and these things, what works for Malcolm isn't gonna work for me.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks like, oh shit, he's seeing results, so I will. Not necessarily. Like everybody's body is different, and you've just got to find what works for you and test things out, try different things. But you don't need to keep up with the idea of what is working for someone else.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So.
Final words?
Eat whatever you want. Honestly, just like
Okay.
no. But if you like, honestly, if you like, don't stress yourself over like your diet and stuff like that. The reason why I'm interested in something like this is because it's just something I'd like to try. Another challenge, the next challenge for me. Jordan and I have been having some banter about some other possible challenges that we want to do. But I really like the idea of trying out new things and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna try out the veganism and let it completely change my life. I'm just doing it because I want to.
Can I say one more thing?
Go for it.
If you watch this documentary and you walk away from it feeling motivated, rather channel that motivation into exercise than changing your diet.
Yeah.
Because it's been proven diet doesn't work unless you exercise. But dieting and exercising, that works.
Yeah.
So start exercising. Once you're doing that, you're going to find that diet follows.
Yeah.
Like you're going to realize, let me not eat this, let me eat
There's
this.
that saying that goes, fitness is the first step to greatness.
Exactly.
So
And everything else follows.
get into the gym, boys and girls.
Fact.
Episode 7, boys, dusted.
Well done.
That's
Done.
nice.
Next milestone, episode 10.
Oof.
Yeah, you can expect a lot more from the Hectic Podcast. Bigger things, better guests. Next week we actually have a guy called Theo coming on, who's going to chat a bit about his life and what he's been through, his drug addiction and stuff like that. So definitely tune in for that. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Like this video, share it, just do everything with it. And I'll see you next week
Yeah, thanks.
Follow us on Instagram. Yeah.
at the Hectic
Good
Podcast _
Hectic
_podcast.
That's the one.
Nice one, George.
Shot. Cheers.